Hey, it's Kellen.
Tyson here.
And of course, AL.
And today we have a guest who is an author, who is an international consultant, who is a Jill of all trades from the Midwest to Dubai. She's done work for various people, companies, whatnot. You might see her name if you type it in on Amazon for so many projects. You just lose count. We have D. Michelle Thompson.
This is Diversified Game.
A podcast giving entrepreneurial advice from a diverse and inclusive perspective with Kellen.
He may agree, he may oppose, and it's more than just race. It's about, ideas.
Tyson.
When you're going against the odds, you've got to be creative, you've got to innovate, you've got to stand out.
And AL.
Focus more on execution and application and less on excuses.
So, let the game begin.
D, what's going on?
Hello. How are you all doing at Diversified Game?
Doing
Great.
well,
Good morning.
D. How about yourself?
Good.
And D, I'm gonna jump into it and say why I wanted to have you on, because D. Michelle is somebody I've known for years on years, through the good times and bad, and she stays consistent. Not to get all up in her business, but a six-figure consultant who's been asked to, even go to Dubai to give her opinion. She's written various books, and I'm always bugging D to, will you do this? Will you edit this? Will you help with this? Hey, D, will you join this venture? And so I wanted to have her come on and talk about Diversified Game, because her focus is business, but she has special niches where she can go into the Christian industry, and then she can go into the candy industry, or she can go into,
To prison.
Go into the prisons. Oh, let me not forget.
We know, about that.
Didn't you have something to do with Tesla going to the moon too? I might have made that up.
Nah, it was not the moon. It was Mars, Kellen. It was Mars.
Mars? Okay, Mars. Yeah.
Okay, guys. All right.
So, tell us what's on the plate, what's going on in your world. Let us in.
Okay, got a couple exciting projects. One company out of Canada I'm working with right now. They developed eyewear for low vision people to be able to see. So they have me in the Midwest region traveling between Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Columbus, Louisville, Kentucky, a day or so a week, promoting this project that costs about $10,000 for people. But it's amazing because I literally get to see people who have never been able to see their children, the color of their children's eyes, get to see them see for the first time. Yesterday, I had a guy 52 years old who was born with the eye condition, and his older sisters had to kind of take care of him. And she was sitting there crying, trying not to let him see while I was testing the demo device with him. And so what's really great is the product just came down from $10,000. Now we're promoting it right about $6,000 now. But even that, just seeing like the transformation of people's life, just being able to see something we take for granted every day, but being able to give that to people. So that's one of the projects I'm working on. I'm working on a new book called You Belong. That's kind of my passion sweet spot now, just learning, because I've done kind of a diverse, so to speak, list of different projects, that it wasn't about whether or not I fit in. It was about the mindset that you belong wherever you've been placed, and you can take authority over that and prosper and do great things right where you are. You don't have to hear that famous line people give you when you have an interview. Oh, you're not a fit. That's right. I don't fit in, but I belong. I belong wherever I am. And so that's what a personal project I'm working on. I'm working with the youth right now. Of course, I'm about to launch a program teaching young girls about dating boundaries. Okay. So doing that under my nonprofit Table for One, working with another nonprofit, doing that. Let's see what else has got the week tied up. Going into prisons once a month, doing some stuff with women's prison. I was doing some work with men's prison now. Switched up, doing some stuff with women's prison, going in once a month, talking to them about one of my books, turning it into a play. And maybe we turned it into a play in Denver before, but I want to bring that into the prisons and really help women build healthy relationships when they come out, because a lot of them, there's a statistic that says they're there because 80% of them were in toxic relationships. And that's how I ended up in prison. I know y'all men don't want to hear that. But anyway, we want to help them be healed before they come back out, so they don't come back out with that whole negative attitude. But that's a little bit on my plate. What y'all doing?
Right now, I want to just touch on more of the plate. I'm trying to get some of the yam, I'm trying to get some of the mashed potatoes. I want to touch really quickly on the vision project first, since that was first in line. Yeah. And, as someone who, you being someone who consults and gives so much insight, and now you're literally helping give sight and vision. So I think that's kind of a phenomenal turn there. Now, something that we take for granted is our sight, like you said, and one of the points of diversity is ability, right? And that would be under physical ability. What type of studies have been done to know what the actual limitations of people that are sight impaired? What impact does that have on the entrepreneurial market? If you don't have any hard statistics, what do you think it has? Like, how do they feel about being an entrepreneur, or what job did the guy have that you just recently helped? And now how will his life change?
Yeah, I love that you brought that point, because the company I work for, I'll go on and plug them. I'm always sensitive to plug other people in my interviews, but E-Sight is the name of the company out of Canada.
Okay. That's great.
And, it's funny. The man who started it was because his sisters were born with low vision, with a Stargardt's disease and different things. And so he spent his life doing studies and research to come up with this eyewear that would be able to help people see. And you're right, it's transformational. You're taking people who may have been like in a factory kind of role, just kind of mundane, like putting things together, or like the guy yesterday. He was working in a maintenance type role, and now giving them the ability to see, they can do more things on the computer and maybe advance themselves this way. And what I love about, like I said, I'll just plug them again, E-Sight, is they actually hire some of the people they've helped and put them on staff and use them as a part of the sales and the trade team to have them go out and do our different shows with the eye vision institutes and different things like that, and help us promote what the company does, and giving people like a total career shift than what they really thought was possible before. So thank you for asking that question, because I have been able to see people make those transformations.
Yeah, and it seems like they would probably be the best employees, or the best partnerships to have, because the testimony from them would be strong and genuine. And it's more than just a paycheck there. So okay, great. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I recently saw that documentary, and I just sent it to everybody, about the blind boy in Sacramento who's not really blind. Like, he lost his eyes at 2 to cancer, and he can now, he plays basketball, he rollerblades because he uses sound, and he's clicking. He's like the only person at that level. But that is such a testimony, and shows you, like, our little complaints during the day. We can't say anything, and that we can do anything. All things are possible for those who believe in Jesus, not in yourself. But D, can you talk about, for those who are listening, saying, "Wow, that sounds great, and she's doing all these great things. Her uncle or her daddy or her this or that, she must have got hooked up." Because the way that you get clients, I don't think most people don't get clients like that. So you can talk about how you get clients and who you accredit that to.
Okay. First and foremost, Jesus, head of my life. I got to say God. That's how I get my clients. But again, going back to what I want to write in this new book that I got to get back to, You Belong, is really understanding your gifts and talents and what your sweet spot is, and going to where there's problems. Because what I say, I wrote this down, and like what I want to talk about, you got to know when to switch it up, when to ditch it, and when to pitch it. And so what I've had to learn is know when to switch gears when I'm talking to someone, and because it's all about relationship, right? And so if I'm building a relationship, I don't want to push me first. I want to learn about the other person. And as they tell me about themselves, then I'm learning, okay, which one of my toolkit do I need to talk about right now? Because it may not be time to talk about my ministry. It may not be time for me to talk about my books, but it is time for me to talk about my marketing consulting. So understanding when to switch it up based on the relationship. Being willing to be like, this is not me. Knowing your purpose is so true, because I just had a contract opportunity the other week, and the way it came about, I do the whole hustle, look online through Indeed and stuff, but I search only for contract opportunities in my sweet spot. And then I build a relationship, call the people, and just go from there. I've done that through LinkedIn, Indeed, but I also do networking events here and there. But my goal is to travel. I like traveling. I like being in different places. So I find it's better for me to do stuff digitally than just going locally, because locally ends up with another local contract. And that's not necessarily what I always want, although I'm fortunate for those. But it's really about building those relationships however you can, and knowing which part of your toolkit to really pitch to the person. That's the last part, switch, ditch, and then pitch. What do I want to pitch right now? But being true to your purpose, like I said, I had a client the other week. I just released it, and it was a quick hustle project, like 1,000 or something. And in the middle of it, my back started hurting and my neck was crooked. And I was like, why am I stressing? This is a hustle. And so I just emailed a dude and said, I just made another freelancer's day. Here, you can take this project, give it to somebody. He's like, but you're so creative. You can write. I said, yeah, and your budget isn't really right. And I settled for this. I had some free time in my space, because I told him, if I can do this in 1 or 2 days, I'll do it for you. But if it goes over that, I'm not doing this for you. And so he didn't think I was serious. He thought I was just so hungry. And I emailed him. I said, you can take this. He's like, what? And I said, and he tried to flatter and be like, but you're so creative. Oh, but I know you can write this real quick. I said, I could, but I won't.
Right.
And so just knowing when to ditch it, when to leave it alone.
Right.
It's hustle, but it's not that serious. Especially, like I say, there's a book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And we use that with our clients a lot when we talk about their vision, their strategy, their business, being unique, selling proposition. What's your why that's different? Everybody's got a cell phone, but why do people always want Apple? Or everybody has XYZ. Ooh, I did another plug for somebody else. Let me stop. Anyway,
that's
what I'm saying in the table for one, Design for Destiny. Look, let me back up. My for-profit is called Design for Destiny. My nonprofit is called Table for One. The underlining why behind each of those is about your destiny, your purpose coming to life. So you got to stay true to that. And so I think that's how I get projects, is staying true to my purpose. And people can feel that passion when they talk to me. I pitched one lady. I found out later she never read my proposal. She heard me speak for 15 minutes and gave me like a 5-figure contract to do the offsite training for her team. And I'm like, what? And she was just like, yeah, I just heard you talk. I was like, wow. So that tells me something else.
All it takes.
We spend too much time writing proposals and doing all this stuff. So now I don't even, if a proposal's long, I'm like, it must not be for me. I don't belong. Because I know you can get a 5-figure project without writing 20 pages.
Right, exactly. Now, and you brought up something that was really good there. A lot of people talk about the hustle of building a business, of entrepreneurship. And I woke up this morning, I was like, man, I want to talk about that. And you just brought it up. So they talk about the hustle, but the part they leave out is the heart and the health. And so when your neck is hurting, you feeling pretty, like that's your health. And then your heart has to now guide you to what you're supposed to do. And sometimes it seems like it's contradictory to the hustle. Like giving that project back seems contradictory to the hustle, but you've got 2 other H's to worry about, your health and your heart.
Ooh,
so I mean, how do you guide yourself? I mean, like you said, you used a great example with, if it's a 20-page proposal, that just ain't for me. That right there is kind of a not a hard line, but a line to draw where okay, boom, that's something that's going to be contradictory to either 1, 2, or all 3 of these H's, right? Because that slows down your hustle when you got to do a 20-page proposal, because that takes away time from something else you could be turning out quick. Your health, because you're sitting there looking at the computer screen. I mean, it helps you work with a vision company, so maybe you can figure out how to keep the eyesight intact. But then your heart, it's like, am I really going to be into doing that 20-page proposal, or is there something else that's speaking to me right now? So how do you delineate that? How do you bust down those different categories for yourself?
It's been in the past year. I think towards the end of last year, I was doing inventory, and I was thinking about how much I help clients with their business planning, setting metrics and boundaries, and how much do we do that for ourselves as entrepreneurs. And so what I started this year out is kind of like a mini business plan and saying, this is my target goal, and this is how many days a week, that I need to be billing at this much. Because you take some projects that might not be billing at your hourly you want to be at. And so my thing is knowing, okay, I already got my consistent lower billable project. I can't say yes to any more of that because I already have that. And so now I know this is what I'm looking to, and being able to really put myself in position for that. Like even today I was looking at, okay, this is my office day. So, okay, in the office day, what do you want to do? You want to follow up on your current clients, but I need to be thinking about who are my bigger opportunities out there that I need to be looking at. So really just kind of balancing your week like that. And again, just I have to go back to that start with why, just knowing your purpose, knowing what you're called to do, and just not stressing yourself out.
So time management and paying attention. Time management, paying attention to your purpose, huh? Okay.
Purpose, time management, and those metrics. Metrics are important. We do that with our clients all the time. We look at quarterly metrics. Whatever. I got a weekly metric. I noticed this week I didn't do any networking events. So I'm like, oh man, I got to do something to go out. But then I reminded myself, I did an offsite with about 50 people on Monday. That was networking, because those 50 people, we got 4 something out of 5, which means those people are telling people now. So I'm like, you can't grade myself down too far, because I did do something that's going to go out beyond me. So you have to be thinking at your week like that. Or what did I do that's going to go external? What did I do to go global? What did I do to stay local? You know what I mean? So just putting those metrics out there and reviewing your week like that.
Okay.
Indeed, people really, they test you in many ways, and like you said, they act like you're starving, and you're nicer than I. Where you won't tell somebody, my mama breastfed me, and my daddy told me I always had to have a job since I was 16. So I'm not starving, but I like what I do. Do you find that people try to lowball you? And if they do you ever think it's because you're a woman or a Black person?
Oh, absolutely. I was spitting nails last week when I found out a project, it was a few years ago, so I'm not that mad, but a project where I was billing a client maybe $60,000 a year. I found out my peer, who didn't deliver one single paperwork, no projects, but he was consulting at a different level. I'm going to leave it alone. Found out he was billing $90,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute. They couldn't afford me at 60-some thousand a year, and he was billing 90 to talk.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Right.
And so it just showed me, a lot of us, especially as women, because I have a Caucasian female I partner with on project. She goes through the same thing where we just don't value ourselves. We feel like to be in a consultant, you got to produce. Like we're always looking at, did I do a white paper? Did I do a marketing plan? Did I do this and that? And then our peers, all they do is go in and consult and talk and walk out the door and collect the check. But somehow we feel like we got to have this whole portfolio to prove we were worth the project. And so I really had to, in this past year, just really kind of let go of that and realize I'm losing money every time I do double the work to come there. And then I do double the work to follow up with them that my peers don't even do and bill more.
Right. And so, I mean, that obviously that's a mindset adjustment, right? But that also, I mean, that speaks to your character, because you want to deliver for people. You want to do the job, which I mean, almost feels like, well, then you deserve the more money and you actually deserve the job, because you're not just going to do the bare minimum. You want to make sure that this provides value for the client. So people have to, anyone listening, like, learn that too. It's not just about getting the job and doing the bare minimum. It's about, like, really do it like it's yours, you know, and provide value for clients.
Yeah. And one thing I had to decide, I'm glad you just brought that back, because not that I compare myself and now I'm like, oh, now I'm going to do the bare minimum. I'm still going to be me, but I'm not like Kellen, going back to your earlier point, I'm not lowballing anymore. I'm not negotiating with people, because I know I exceed expectations. I know that I'm doing way more than my peers would ever do. And so I don't go for the lowball, and I don't really negotiate. You know, if anything, I talk about, you know, like I had a conversation with a client last year, got kind of heated. I said, I don't think we're fit. I did my second line of my book. I said, I don't think we fit anymore, because they wanted to take my monthly down. And I was trying to explain to her in a nice way, like, if you go below this amount per month, it doesn't even make sense for me to drive up to Kentucky. But no, but instead of saying that, I just said, you know what? It sounds like, you know, I had to do the professional. It sounds like what you are looking for aren't services that I really provide. What I provide is at this level. And if you don't have, then you don't have a need for me. So the way we ended up working it out, which was a blessing, she said, I need you like that before my fiscal year and in the middle of my fiscal year. So now it's a seasonal project where I come there at times where it makes sense, versus them trying to lowball an entire year. It just became, when you need me, call me. But don't just try to do something just to have me there.
Right, exactly.
Let me jump in this double dutch for round two. I have a question for you. With all the impact that you're making, and the business owners and the businesses that you're impressing upon with all of your experience, what's next for you? Where do you see yourself, and what do you see yourself doing through 2019?
Through 2019, it's funny you say that. I'm looking at my vision board right now on my desk. And so what I have on my vision board is the rise of the entrepreneur. And so for that means a couple of things. Where I see myself going next, I would like to go back in to a company role, but at an executive level, and be an entrepreneur. So that's something I would like to see myself doing, if, Kellen, I hear you, if it will not take away from all the other hats that I play. If it will, then no. But I would like to see myself. The only reason why is for this is going back to the earlier question about what my peers are experiencing making, and just having, I don't want to say that extra badge of honor, but I do see the more distant you get from the company experience, the weaker brand ambassadorship, that makes sense. And so I've been 10 years away from corporate America. I feel like I need to go back into a company role at a more of a director or executive level, just because there's some new things to learn, to switch the game up again. And for me to learn so I can go back out again. Like I told this audience I was speaking to the other day, I said, I feel like I'm the Robin Hood of corporate America. I learned the best of the big corporate companies, and then I go share it with the privately held and smaller businesses.
Exactly.
And so that's one thing on my vision board, and you know, it's up to God that will happen. But that's one thing that I'd like to accomplish. And the other part is this book. Like I said, I definitely got to get this new book, You Belong, out. That's on my vision board. And then also, I just want to do some fun stuff. I feel like I'm very organized and focused on business. But at the same time, that can be a stress. And going back to your heart health and all that, I want to see myself enjoy life and just have fun with some passion projects that's not tied to a dollar sign. Just I'm having fun, you know, with my family, with my friends. And so that's really something I have on my vision board for this year as well.
Well, wait, somebody mentioned, wait, Al, did you want to follow up?
Well, I mean, I really like the vision board, like touch upon, without diving too deep into your secret sauce and like the mindset. Like, what is a typical day start to end like look like for you? Is it vision boarding? Is it affirmations? Is it meditation? Like, how do you prep and prime yourself for the day to day?
Definitely prayer, devotion. I'm new to meditation. I'm really trying to get into meditating because it really is hard to quiet yourself to that point. But I really am trying to get into meditation more. So that's always the first part of the day. And then the gym is the next. And like, for example, last week I was on the road a couple of days. So I made myself get to the gym at 5 because I had to be on the road by 7:30 to go to my client in another city. And so but I felt so good and so hyped. And I was like, wow, 5 a.m. gym time is the best time.
Right? Endorphins early, right?
Yeah. And so that's my morning routine. And, I do white eggs and kale. It's always the first meal of the day for the past year. I've been getting into meal prep and just like that whole health balance. It's you feel. And so I can't say I did it today. I ran out of kale. But and it's Valentine's Day, so I had to do something sweet. So all that. Anyway, that's nevertheless. So that's really it for me. That's the typical day, morning start, and then it's either client meetings or going out of town somewhere. And then like today, it's an office day, so it's billing, looking at who I need to bill for the month, what pitches, following up. I did an offsite training on Monday where I had a videographer. And so he needs the images from my PowerPoint to do the edit. We need a rough cut of the DVD we're making for the client of the training. And so I'm been working on that this afternoon. So it's like desk time. And then, it's Valentine's Day. So I got spa and all that stuff today. But, it's it's
nice.
Oh, I hate I'm dating the airing, but anyway.
Oh, no, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, but so I do different things like that. But I love like days like this where I can do anything that I need to get done. Like I apologize. It's like sometimes I try to mix up the days. Like if it's a client day, I gotta learn that's that client day. If I try to add anything else into that, it always messes up. And so I really try to give the client that's their day. If it's an emergency on another client, I will take a call or step out, whatever. But I really do try to focus on what the business of that day is for whoever I'm working with.
Go ahead.
So you were going to ask something?
What you had? Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask because D. Michelle, she said she heard me, and I surely was talking. We have this telepathy thing we do sometimes because you say you want to go back into corporate. But my question is that, you say you want to learn and this and that, but let's say this book goes and becomes the next bestseller and sets up a whole deal with Penguin or someone. Would you still want to do that? So is it a money thing and a look, or is it just that, you feel like, okay, if I get that big name behind me, now my money will, double or triple? And would it change if you, had the best-selling book of 2019 or 2020 in Jesus' name? So I just wonder the motives, because you know how I feel about this independent game is the only game that they can't tell you, no, you can't go on that vacation. No, you can't, go to the funeral or whatever the case may be. I like vacation better, but you know how I feel about corporate.
And Kellen, I'm a God-led person, so it would have to be, totally God. So right now, he hasn't shown me any opportunity that's a quote-unquote fit, as you say, as I say in this book. But and it's not necessarily corporate; it's just a company, just to be. And I say this, and I'm not trying to be corny at all, but when you work alone, it gets lonely out here.
Yeah,
and
lonely
I
at
want
the
to be a
top,
part
baby.
of it. I want to be a part of a team again on an everyday basis, being a contributor. And I miss that. And I don't know, maybe I just need to get with Diversified Game and we have weekly team meetings and I'll fill that void. But but that's what I feel like is the missing piece of the puzzle. Like, I'll have other entrepreneurs that, I'll talk to for a second, but we all get pulled 10 different directions on our own projects, and then we don't come together again for like 3 or 4 months. And so I just think iron sharpens iron, and it's something too when you can put together that think tank or that group of people that you're working on a common goal together. And I miss that. And so regardless of the thing, the role it doesn't have to be big time corporate or whatever, but just some role. It could be even a part-time executive director role at a nonprofit. I don't know, that keeps me connected, because I find the more you become this kind of lone wolf or ranger out here, the more disconnected you become, and having the empathy and building relationships, you become sometimes transactional, I want to say. And I want to make sure I stay relational. And so I think it's a good gut check.
I get it. I understand that. And so you said a key thing, and how you get with the diversified game, because we can create our own systems that we can actually pass down. Because we have to think about how lonely it was for a Jeff Bezos, a Steve Jobs, a Bill Gates, a Soldier Boy, young Draco, when they came trying to get him, and he just go plow and plow, hit the other one and plow. And how lonely it had to be on your way to the top. You know what I mean? But and I know y'all love how I threw Soldier Boy with all those other names. But
I was just sitting there like, okay.
You can't forget young Draco.
I don't even know who that is, but okay.
Soldier Boy, Superman. Oh, young Draco.
I know that, but you said Draco. What?
Oh, young.
Yeah, that's his alias.
That's his alias.
Oh,
she said, wait, wasn't Soldier Boy his alias?
Okay, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning already. I'm learning already from Diversified Game.
There you go.
Yeah, so we just know we can create our own systems and find the value, because we all know what our sweet spots are. And for me, it's like, just let's do our sweet spots until we leave this earth, and be able to put other people on, and that's the beauty of looking out for one another. So I understand what you're saying. I just want to say we can create that. We don't have to look outside, because a lot of times when we look outside, it's something we need to make within, because outside doesn't always look like us. And then we get back into that role of, oh man, I have to present myself a certain way, or I have to,
I can't wear my fro. I can't wear my fro.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And,
without somebody touching it, talk about, I don't know what this feels like.
Now, you bring up a good point, actually, Kel, because one thing that is also paramount in whenever you're a part of a business, building a business, nowadays, right? Before it wasn't there, but like, is personal comfort, right? People work better when they're in a comfortable environment and where they feel like they can be themselves. And I feel like in our own personal environments, we can make mistakes and learn from them. Whereas a lot of times on the corporate side, or being back in a company, especially looking like we do, right? Being, Black people, you aren't afforded to the same opportunity to make mistakes, learn and grow, that some of your counterparts may be given. So I do feel like personal comfort, and being able to learn and grow is very important to mental health, and important to business development and growth. So,
okay,
yeah, that's me. That's me. So I think that if there's nothing else, that's good.
Oh, I can go more, but I'm gonna let D have an interview.
Yeah, I want a little couple of more tidbits from D before we hop off. So can you give us a solid 2 to 3 minutes of just all D, all me, talk that talk, give me the game, get as high, as low, as dirty, or as clean as you want to make it, and we'll mute. And I just want to hear it. Give me the nitty gritty. I mean, put me in the game with grass stains, D. That's what I want.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So go ahead. I want to just have us mute, and we just want to hear what you have to say for the next few minutes, and just give us the unedited version?
Unedited version of Diversified Game for me. Unedited version of Focus Me. Give me a compass. Give me my.
So I would say on just relentlessly going after your goals.
Okay. All right. Cool. For me, just relentlessly going after your goals. I would say definitely pray every day. Have some type of written, like, I don't care if you call it a declaration, a confession, something out there that's written out of I am D. I am D. Michelle. I am victorious. I am killing the game. I am building relationships that are going to produce prosperous contracts every single day. But just something that you are reciting, that you are confessing about your business, about what you're called to do, and then making sure you have that time where you really connect with other people that don't see things the same way that you do. And I know that's counterproductive, but sometimes it's good to be in the midst of people who don't look at things the way you do, so you can challenge yourself and remind yourself why you do what you do. Because sometimes we get too hanging with everybody that thinks and speaks and acts the same way we do, and it doesn't really challenge us. We got to make sure we're always putting ourselves in an environment that's going to make us better and remind us who we are, and not to shift you, but to have more of what I want to say is a reason to be, to understand your purpose, to understand why you're so unique, to understand why you're called to do what you do, because there are so many people that think this other way. On my vision board, for example, I have this quote that says, moving the culture forward. And so I'm always challenging myself, what I did today, did I say something that moved this culture forward? Did I dress a way that was going to move this culture forward? Did I build a relationship today that's going to move this culture forward? So making sure you're anchoring yourself with your vision board, whatever, and challenge yourself, reflecting on the day, daily reflection. What did I do today? I have another quote on my board: driven, confident, strong. Was I too driven today? Was I not driven enough? Did I present myself with confidence? Was I strong in it? Then I have this other quote about, you know what? You got to make sure this is, I really love what I do. I definitely want people to see, grow, and help and give them the best experience possible. Did I do that today by the people and the lives I interacted with? And a lot of times we put it down to the mundane, thinking about just our clients or thinking about our family. But I'm challenging you to go to the next level and think about that person that took too long in line in front of you at the grocery store. And you was like, dang, why can't they just get their money out the purse? Why can't they? But how did you respond? You have no idea. That could be your next potential client. And the way you sighed real hard, you just broke off a potential connection point. So really making sure you're honoring and staying humble, that you don't know what environment you're in and who you might be talking to that might set the tone and even fulfill the vision that you have for your life. But if you're not stopping to think about and reflecting, how did I treat people today? Did I treat people with the respect they deserve? And not even deserve and not earn, because that's the fallacy of America. We act like respect is earned. Respect is given. Trust is earned. So we got to learn to respect everybody we meet. And so after you move beyond that, thinking about what is it that I want to do next? Not just what I did today, but now what do I want to do next? Based on how I reflect and see what I did today, what do I want to do different tomorrow? So making sure you have that time of reflection is important. And last but not least, I want to say you got to make sure you take time to remember your why. Of course, I'm always on that, your purpose for what you're doing. And if your why is confusing, then you are confused. You need to switch it up. If your why is not resonating with people, you're not feeling the pull or demand for you, then you need to ditch it. You need to go back and pitch it. You need to go back and figure out what is that new why? What is that thing that's really going to connect? What is solving a problem that's out there? What's going to fill a void for a potential client? What's the opportunity? And then last but not least, I got to go back to relationships. We can't do anything without relationships. We need each other, and we need to build those relationships. So into those relationships. Stop getting lost by, oh, what so-and-so did to you. Think about, what are you doing to build relationships. So be that bridge, have fun, switch, ditch, pitch. It's a diversified game. Thank you for having me on, guys.
Thank you, D. And that is a powerful close right there, folks. Thank you. We really appreciate you and look forward to doing way more with you and learning way more about you.
All right. Want to learn from you guys as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I think this is a good place to stop our dialogue for this episode and allow you, the listeners, to join the conversation and keep the dialogue going with us online.
You can do so by visiting our social media at Facebook, Diversified Game Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter, Game Diversified, online, diversifiedgame.com. In your life with the people around you, and or join our Patreon and get some nice perks for being involved.
If you found a nugget and or liked today's episode, you might as well leave a review. And if you leave a review, you might as well share it. If you share it, you might as well subscribe. And as always, thanks for your support.
Thanks for getting in the game and listening to the Diversified Game Podcast with Kellen, Tyson, and AL. The #1 show pairing entrepreneurship with diverse and inclusive perspectives like wine and cheese, bagel and lox, fish and grits. Be sure to visit diversifiedgame.com for all the good stuff. Join in the conversation and discover more content.